Hey friends, my name is Daniel Yang, and I am so excited at the participation and the response that we've gotten to the think tank on microchurches and missional communities in Chicagoland. We are maxed out in terms of this kind of think tank, and so we're super stoked, super excited about your enthusiasm. Thank you so much for that. Just to let you know, we have decided to move to a virtual format, although a lot of us are comfortable meeting in person. We also want to make sure that we keep our families safe, we keep one another safe. If it was just for a few hours, it would make sense, but because we're doing it all day, we just don't want to risk anything. And so I think you understand that, miss being together, but I think some of the things that come out of this, once we are on the other side of the vaccine, then it's going to lead to more in-person gatherings like this one. So we'll have some of the logistical informations about the Zoom on top of this page here that you can click on so that you know exactly when we're going to meet and how we're going to meet as well. Really quickly about the format, I mean, it's going to be a great time for us. I just wanted you to know that what we're doing with these videos, these pre-think tank content videos, is we're seeding the conversation. You're going to hear from Brian Sanders, a talk that he did for Exponential, but Brian's going to be with us in person that day, but he's going to also provide some framework for our time together through this video. You're going to also hear from Josh Laxton, the Assistant Director of the Billy Graham Center, where he did his PhD on city-reaching cultural engagement. And so Josh has created a framework for us to kind of think about what we're talking about, not just as church planting, even though that's our emphasis, but a city-reaching strategy, a framework, a matrix for what it looks like to engage culture and to see cultural expressions of the church emerge out of that. And then the rest of the videos that you're going to look at on this on this page are actual real-life models of people that are innovatively engaging different parts of Chicago on the west side of the Chicago, in the south side of Chicago, in the suburbs, in different parts of Chicago, where we're seeing different versions of microchurches and missional communities, and you may not even call them that, emerge from all around us. I'm very, very excited to share some of these models with us because it's all about seeding a conversation for what we're going to talk about on that day, September 2nd. Brian Sanders. Now, I've talked about how he's going to be with us. He is co-facilitating that day with us. Brian is the co-founder and the current executive director of the Tampa Underground Network, and it's an amazing experiment that Brian would call it. They're an experiment. They're a proof of concept of what it looks like to build an ecclesiology around mission. How do you build an ecclesiology around mission? And that's what they have proven and started in the Tampa Underground Network. Brian's going to be with us. He's going to lead us in two sessions. Number one, an ecclesiology for microchurches and missional communities. And we're going to think about that contextually here in Chicagoland. Put on your missiologist hat. We're going to get to the practical stuff, but we're also going to really talk about what does it mean to really start microchurches and missional communities. And then we're going to dig deep into that, and you're going to work on strategies for how you're going to do that, how you are doing that. We'll share that, reflect it back to Brian, and Brian's going to speak into that process. We're going to run that again, and we're not going to focus on just the individual microchurches, but then we're going to talk about what's the infrastructure and the network that comes around it. We're going to talk about the different strategies and models for that here in Chicagoland, share it back to Brian, reflect it, and Brian's going to reflect his thoughts back to us and speak into the Chicago context, not just based on his experience in Tampa, but also now in Ireland where he's doing ministry. One of the thoughts that I had as I was preparing for our time and just for this whole event is we have no place that I know on a large scale where young people can engage a hard-to-reach community and create smaller communities and see that multiply. We don't have an infrastructure, or we don't have a network where that happens at a sustainable pace, but also where a lot of experimentation can happen and people can fail. Like, failing is okay. Failing is celebrated. Where you go out 6 months, 12 months, and you come back and maybe you didn't see anything happen, but you gain an experience. We talk about church planting residencies, but we really don't have a place where young people who aren't ordained, who might not even be thinking about pastoral full-time church planting ministry, but where we're stoking the next generation to think innovatively about reaching hard-to-reach people. What I think we could be stumbling upon is creating a larger infrastructure and a larger platform for some of these things to happen. There's nothing like that here in Chicago. And so what I'm hoping that day is, as we're all working our individual strategies for what it looks like to be involved in microchurches and missional community church planting, I also hope that we can come together and begin to talk about what does it look like to dream for Chicagoland at large, to create platforms to see these things happen rapidly. And so I'm very excited for our time, really prayerful for it. This is a spiritual gathering more than it is a strategic gathering, although the Holy Spirit will show us how to move forward in these days ahead. God bless you. I hope you enjoy watching these videos below, and we can't wait to gather together on September 2nd.